we were talking about masculinity just now, you were saying how it has to go that deep, like any less won't be enough. And earlier you were talking about the kind of initiation rites and how you need to completely shatter your identity and everything you kind of held on to, your kind of the structure of your reality. And that really resonated with me on a very profound level because, as you know, I lost my mother earlier this year, and it's this profound, the experience really, part obviously the pain and the loss, but there was this profound experience of feeling like everything that I thought how reality was and how my life was actually really like, wait, just everything shifted completely. And it, even though it was so painful, it's also been so enriching and empowering, and and just being able okay, I actually get another puzzle. And there's, when you talk about surrender, that's what I was saying, there's a huge part of reaching that point of actually really being in that space of, you know what, I don't know. I don't know what this life is about, what existence is about, where my mom went, where I'm going to, just really being in that feeling, and then from that place just letting go and being like, I'm just going to swim in the soup of cosmic whatever. And I guess my question is more so, aside, in addition to kind of exploring what can be the new masculinity or what that means of the new story, maybe also thinking about what place death and grief hold in our society. I know you've talked a lot about that. I'm just thinking of what are kind of maybe the key elements that go to the core of what do we need to work on, what do we need to shift, and where do we need to create space in our society to move us into that new story. Because obviously we can talk about changing food systems and the economic system, but it's like the underlying things.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you have some others.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning grief, that what has happened on this planet is really, really sad. And it should hurt to apprehend it. So we have all kinds of ways to keep the pain at a distance. But that effort to keep it at a distance comes at a cost. It comes at a cost of seeing the truth, seeing what's real and what's true. And if we are operating under a delusion, we're not going to be able to accomplish anything of value. So there's, one of the most positive things that's happening today, I find in the United States, is that certain kinds of hidden trauma are coming to the surface to be witnessed and seen. For example, police brutality, and various expressions of racism, that they've always been there, but now thanks to social media and ubiquitous cell phones, now what was once hidden is coming to the surface. And when it comes to the surface, you can try to push it away with, it's like the right wing kind of finds ways to deny that it's happening, or you can take it in and go through a process. Maybe pushing it away is part of the process, denial, right? And then each piece that comes back together through the passage of grief that makes us more whole. Like grief is a way of gathering our lost parts and becoming more whole and therefore more powerful, happier. I recently did a podcast with Francis Weller. We talked about that a lot. Yeah, he was. There's some people doing amazing work. Joanna Macy, of course, is another one. Malidoma Some, that's who Francis Weller studied with. And again, this is not something you can go home and do. One of the characteristics of the expression of grief in other cultures is that it was public. It was witnessed. You were held in your grief by others, not just crying on your pillow. Yeah. Crying on your pillow, you can do that for years and never get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I felt that really strongly, that feeling of there's just no space, we don't make space in our society to grieve, it's like just that thing of, let's just push it on the carpet. You get your 2 weeks of compassionate leave and then back to work.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this huge thing, this huge grief, and we just don't know how to,
And to take it back to the idea of hunter-gatherers and whether they had a richer or poorer life, like they had vast amounts of time. Hurrying was not part of their lives.
Yeah.
And grief has its own rhythm, its own timing. Sometimes it might be 2 weeks, might be enough. Sometimes it might take a year. And that is one of the kinds of wealth that we're so deprived of, the wealth of time. Do you remember as a child having the afternoon stretched on endlessly? Like there is this sense of plenitude, of abundance. Like time, you had all the time in the world. Like, when was the last time you experienced that? This is a fundamental form of wealth, to experience life as abundant, because time is life. Your time is your life. And to experience life as endless, as abundant, that is about as primal a kind of wealth as one can have. Animals have it. You just I have so many memories of this. I was at a festival, speaking at a festival, and there were these monkeys that were hanging out at the festival, up in the trees, looking for opportunities to steal food, I suppose. But just looking up there, they were just hanging out on these branches, lolling around for hours and hours and hours and hours. They had, and the birds around there, they were just pouring forth their song. And it seemed just for the joy of it. And I could say, well, they're marking territory, they're competing for mates. And so, yeah, maybe. But it didn't sound that way to me. It didn't sound like they had to sing that much. It sounded like they were singing to each other and to me, and that their life was rich, and that they had leisure. And my life is busy, and I have this kind of omnipresent voice that says, you have to be efficient. There's not enough time. There's so much you could be doing. And if you waste time, then you won't have enough time to do the things you have to do. And it's kind of like, even if I have nothing in front of me to do, it's still this kind of programming that, I'm learning to recognize it and to not pay attention to it. But it's really deep programming. Yeah. I'm wondering if we should maybe take a little break or something. These programs usually have some kind of exercise or meditation or something. But if there's something,
I can keep going. I've got about 10 more questions.
Also, there's questions from perhaps the people watching remotely.
So we're going to go to a break, yeah? I'm on a 30-second delay on the live stream, so Nick's saying, we're going to a break, and 30 seconds behind. So yeah, let's go to a break. If we take about 10 minutes or so,
yeah.
And if people at home want to post in, we've got a number of questions already, you'll be able to see below the video. There's some great questions there, so we'll perhaps do those after the break. If you want to post any more questions, we'll come back in about 10 minutes, and I'll put some of those questions to Charles, and I'm sure we'll continue to dive into the dialogue.
Yeah, and I would say just I'm not going to give you like any specific exercise or anything for the break, but I would encourage you to stay in a quiet zone and just let a natural digestion process happen. To not distract yourself with anything.
Yeah, if I can add to that as well, it's because of course it's easy for people to get caught in the kind of intellectual kind of questions and stuff that come up. But I think part of what you're inviting is also to stay with their hearts and their bodies in terms of what's provoked and what's triggered by the dialogue.
I would even hesitate to make that an instruction. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay, fine. Good. All right, so we'll see you in about 10 minutes, and please do, as we say, share any questions that you've got. And you can also share your experiences as well.